So in today's video, we are going to be looking at how to multiply fractions. So whenever we are multiplying fractions, we multiply the numerators by each other, which are the top numbers, and then we multiply the denominators. So in the first one, we have 2/3 multiplied by 5/7. So in this case, we're just going to multiply the numerators by each other, and then the denominators by each other. So 2 multiplied by 5 gives us 10, and 3 multiplied by 7 gives us 21. Now, because there are no common factors between 10 and 21, this will be our final answer in its simplest form. For the second one, again, we are just going to multiply 3 by 4, and we're going to multiply 8 by 9. 3 multiplied by 4 gives us 12, and 8 multiplied by 9 gives us 72. Now, these can be simplified because we have common factors between 12 and 72, and the highest common factor that we have is 12. So we are going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1, and 72 divided by 12 is 6. And that is now in the simplest form, so that will be our final answer. So again, we are just going to multiply in these ones 2 by 7 for the numerators and 3 multiplied by 8 for the denominators. Now I could multiply these first and then simplify them, but to make it a bit easier for me, I'm going to first simplify them before I multiply them. So as we can see, we've got 2 in the numerator and 8 in the denominator, which have common factors. So the common factor of 2 and 8 is 2. So we are going to divide our 2 by 2, which gives us 1, and we're also going to divide our 8 by 2, which gives us 4. So now I can rewrite this as 1 times 7 over 3 times 4. And now that will give me 7 over 12, and that is now in its simplest form. That will be my final answer. For the second one, we are going to multiply 3 by 5. And 4 multiplied by 6. So again, we've got numbers in the numerator and denominator that have common factors. I've got 3 and I've got 6, and the common factors of 3 and 6 is 3. So we are going to divide my 3 by 3 and 6 divided by 3, which gives us 2. I can rewrite this as 1 times 5 and 4 times 2 in my denominator. 1 times 5 will give me 5, and 4 times 2 will give me 8, and that is now my answer in its simplest form. So sometimes when we are multiplying fractions, we can have one of the fractions or both of the fractions in a mixed number form. So as we can see in the first question, the first fraction that we have is a mixed fraction. So we first have to convert this into an improper fraction. Now, if you are not comfortable working with mixed numbers, then please go through the video where we talk about converting mixed numbers to improper and improper fractions back to mixed numbers. I will put a link in the description box. So to convert this into an improper fraction, I am going to multiply 4 by 2, which is 8, and my 8 plus 3 gives me 11, and the denominator remains 4. I'm going to multiply this by 2/5. So 11 times 2 over 4 times 5. And again, before I multiply it, I'm going to check if I have a number in the numerator and denominator that have common factors. So I do have 2 and 4, and I'm going to divide these by 2, which is my highest common factor. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I can now rewrite this as 11 times 1 over 2 times 5, which is going to give me 11/10. Now, because this is a top-heavy fraction, it's an improper fraction, I can rewrite this as a mixed number, which is going to be 11 divided by 10, gives me 1 with a remainder of 1, and my denominator remains 10. In the second one, again, we've got one of the fractions which is a mixed fraction. So again, I first need to convert this into an improper fraction before I multiply. So 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 gives me 13 over 3 multiplied by 3 over 7. Now if I multiply that out, I am first going to simplify my 3 with 3 because those are the common factors. So I can divide them both by 3. So 3 divided by 3 gives me 1 and 3 divided by 3 gives me 1 again. So this is literally just going to be 13 times 1 and 1 times 7, which gives me 13 over 7. And again, because this is a top-heavy fraction, I'm going to rewrite this as a mixed number. So 13 divided by 7 is 1 with a remainder of 6, and denominator will be 7. And that is my final answer. Both the fractions that we're multiplying are mixed numbers. So we are first going to change them into improper fractions. So for the first one, we're going to do 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 1 gives us 7 out of 2. And for the second one, we are doing 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 2 gives us 8, so 8 over 3. We are going to multiply them now, but before I actually multiply them, I'm going to see if I have got a number in the numerator and denominator that has any common factors. And yes, we have got our 2 and 8 that have a highest common factor of 2. So we are going to divide both these numbers by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1 and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I can now rewrite this as 7 times 4 over 1 times 3, which is going to be 28 over 3. And because this is a top-heavy fraction, I can rewrite it as a mixed number, so this will be 9 and 1/3. In the second question, we are again going to convert these into improper fractions before we multiply. In the second question, we have again got mixed numbers, so we are going to convert them into improper fractions before we carry on. So the first one will be 5 times 4, which is 20, plus 2 gives us 22 over 5. And the second one will be 1 times 4, which is 4, plus 3, which is 7 over 4. So before I multiply, I again want to check if there are any numbers in my numerator and denominator that have common factors. So my 22 and my 4 have the highest common factor of 2. So I am going to divide both of these numbers by 2. So 22 divided by 2 is 11 and 4 divided by 2 is 2. I'm now going to rewrite this as 11 times 7 over 5 times 2. So this will now be 77 over 10. And to write this as a mixed number, 77 divided by 10 will give me 7 wholes, a remainder of 7, and denominator of 10. So sometimes when we are multiplying fractions, we may be multiplying our fraction with a whole number. Now it is important to note that all whole numbers have a denominator of 1, so we can just treat this as 5 over 1. So if I was to rewrite this, I would just write it as 5 times 9 on my numerator and 1 times 10 on my denominator. So again, before I proceed, I want to check if I've got any numbers in my numerator and denominator that have common factors. So I've got 5 and 10, and the highest common factor of 5 and 10 is 5. So I'm going to divide both of these numbers by 5. So 5 divided by 5 gives me 1, and 10 divided by 5 gives me 2. So I can now rewrite this as 1 times 9 over 1 times 2, which is just 2. And this is going to give me 9 over 2. Again, because this is a top-heavy fraction, I can write this as a mixed number. So 9 divided by 2 gives me 4, with a remainder of 1, and my denominator will remain 2. In the second one, we have 2/3 multiplied by 2. Now again, because 2 is a whole number, I can put the denominator as 1, and I can rewrite this as 2 times 2 in my numerator and 3 times 1 in my denominator. Now I'm going to look to see if I've got any numbers in my numerator and denominator that have common factors, but this time I do not, so I can simply proceed to multiply. So 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 1 is 3. Because this is a top-heavy fraction, I can write this as a mixed number, so 4 divided by 3 is 1, with a remainder of 1, and my denominator will be 3. So this is a worded question which says that Anna is baking cookies. She needs 2/3 cups of sugar for one batch of cookies. How much sugar will she need for 4 batches? So we know that the sugar needed for one batch is 2/3 cups, and we are looking at how much she needs for 4 batches. So to find the amount she needs for 4 batches, we are going to multiply 2/3 by 4. And because 4 is a whole number, I can treat it with a denominator of 1. I can rewrite this as 2 times 4 over 3 times 1. And this will give me 8/3. This is top heavy, so I can write this as a mixed number, which is going to be 2 and 2/3. So Anna will need 2 and 2/3 cups to make 4 batches of cookies. So finally, here are some questions for you to try. Please grab a paper and pen. Please feel free to pause the video, have a go, and then come back to see what answers we have got and see if you have got them right. So for number 1, we have 3/4 multiplied by 2/15. So I'm going to write this as 3 times 2 over 4 times 15. Before I multiply it out, I'm going to check if I've got common factors between numbers in my numerator and denominator. And yes, I have got 3 and 15. And the highest common factor of 3 and 15 is 3. So I am going to divide both these numbers by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 will give me 5. So I can rewrite this now as 1 times 2 over 4 times 5. But as you can see, we have still got some numbers that have common factors. We've got 2 and we've got 4, and the highest common factor of 2 and 4 is 2. So I can still divide these by 2. So 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, and 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. So I'm now going to rewrite this again as 1 times 1 over 2 times 5, which will give me 1 over 10. And that is my final answer in its simplest form. For number 2, I'm going to check if I've got any common factors in my numerator and denominator. So in my denominator, I have got 4, and in my numerator, I have got 16. The highest common factor of 4 and 16 is 4. So I am going to divide both of these numbers by 4. So 4 divided by 4 gives me 1. 16 divided by 4 gives me 4. And I can now rewrite this as 1 times 4 in my numerator and 1 times 18 in my denominator, which will just give me 4 over 18. Now this is still not in its simplest form, so I can simplify this by dividing it by the highest common factor, which is 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 18 divided by 2 gives me 9, and that is now my final answer. For number 3, I have 9, which can just be written as 9 over 1. And my second fraction is 5 over 18. So again, I am going to check if I've got highest common factor between any of the numerators and denominators. And I do have 9 and 18 that have a highest common factor of 9. So I am going to divide both of these numbers by 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1, and 18 divided by 9 gives me 2. So I can rewrite this as 1 times 5 over 1 times 2, which will just be 5 over 2. Because this is a top-heavy fraction, I can write it as a mixed number. So 5 divided by 2 gives me 2, with a remainder of 1, and my denominator will be 2. And 2.5 will be my final answer. For the last one, number 4, I've got 2 mixed numbers, which means I first have to convert these into improper fractions. So 2.5 will be 5 over 2, and 3 3/5 can be written as 18 over 5. Now, checking to simplify before I multiply, I have got 5 and 5, and they have a common factor of 5, so I'm going to divide these by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So I can rewrite this as 1 times 18 over 2 times 1. Now I've still got common factors between the denominator 2 and numerator 18, and the highest common factor of 2 and 18 is 2. So I'm going to divide both these numbers by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 18 divided by 2 gives me 9. So this can be written as 1 times 9 over 1 times 1, which is 9 over 1. And I can also write this as a whole number 9. And that is my final answer.